Hey everyone, John here with Pro Age Paintball. I am back with another tech video. Today I have the Azodin Kaos 3. I'm going to show you how to service it, clean it, how to go through it, make sure it's ready for next weekend or the next time you're going to go play. Let's get started. Alright, so to get started servicing and cleaning your Azodin Kaos 3, I'm going to go ahead and clean the barrel off. I do have an Exalt barrel swab here. This is going to help us clean the barrel and the top of the gun. So go ahead and unscrew your threads. Unscrew your thread of the barrel there. Just going to run the swab through. I'm going to clean that out. If you have a bunch of paint in the porting here, all you're going to want to do, you can take like a Q-tip and clean it out like under a sink and then run a swab through. Or one thing you could do is if you air up your gun, of course make sure no paint's inside, you can actually put your hand over the end of the barrel with just air and shoot the gun, and some of that debris will come out. Be careful, don't get it in your face or in your eye. But other than that, just clean your barrel real quick on that one. Okay, of course make sure the air tank is off the gun. So the Kaos 3 is a little bit different. It does store air inside of the gun or inside the regulator here. So between the regulator and your air tank, there will be air inside here sometimes. So be careful when you're working on your gun. Just keep that in mind. All right, first things first, you want to go ahead and take the little pin here. This is the bolt pin. You're gonna want to pull this straight up the top and out the back. Good to go there. Lay that down. And then you're going to have your velocity adjuster. You're going to go ahead and unscrew that here. And this is just, again, just basic servicing and cleaning. I would recommend to do this after, let's say after every time you play or every other time you play, depending on how hard you play. So this is going to be your spring guide with your velocity adjuster. And then, of course, you have your main spring. And you're going to have your bumper. So I usually recommend grab the Allen key, one of the Allen keys that comes in your set, and go ahead and pull that bumper out the back. It will just be sitting right here on the back like that. Or you have the option to take your Allen key from the top, if you can find it. Sometimes there'll be a hole right there in the hammer. Or what you can do is I'm just going to take it down like this, and I'm going to force the gun down. So that's going to push that hammer, the piece of metal, it's going to push the bumper out the bottom, and it's going to get it out there. So this is the hole that I was referring to. Sometimes if that bumper is stuck inside, you can reach from the top, stick your Allen key in there and slide everything out the back, and that way it pushes everything out the back. So those are pretty much all the moving parts inside of the Kaos 3. So it's very similar to the Azodin Kaos 2, any of your spider type guns. So hopefully you can see right to the top of this here. This is everything on the top, I don't know what you want to call this, chamber I guess you could say. And this is what we're going to go ahead and take our barrel swab. This is where all the paint is going to get. If you get shot in the top of it, all the paint will get in top of here. If you break paint inside of your loader and it goes inside the gun, you're going to see it's going to come through the breech. So this is when you're going to take your barrel swab and clean all through there. Just do that a few times, clean that out real well. You can do it to the bottom as well. So the bottom you won't be able to go all the way through because your valve system is still sitting inside there. And that's more of an advanced type servicing. You don't need to do that, but maybe let's say once a year if you play with your gun a lot, or if you're having leaks, this is where it would come from. It'd be the valve inside there. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to spin it inside. Go and clean all that out. And then you want to visually inspect it. Make sure none of the debris or anything that was on your swab is left inside the gun. So just go ahead and take a look through both of those and make sure that it's completely clean of any fuzz or anything like that. So then I'm going to take a rag and I'm going to wipe down the bolt system. So this is the bolt system. This is where the air comes from the bottom inside the gun, comes up and goes out the bolt. So you want to go ahead and wipe this down real well. This is where any paint is going to be, any dirt. You will see wear and tear on this bolt system here over time. That's perfectly normal. The cleaner you keep this, the less wear and tear you'll see on the top of the bolt here. So wipe that down. Then you're going to go ahead and take your hammer and wipe that down. What I'm doing is I'm just holding the towel tight and then spinning it through my fingers. Good to go. And this is your hammer O-ring. This is the most important O-ring pretty much in the entire gun in order for it to function correctly. And then this does have a little grease on it, which doesn't need it. It's just extra from inside the gun. And you can wipe down your spring and everything. And this here. If you mess with this, if you spin this piece here by hand, this is going to adjust the velocity or the speed that the gun shoots. So you want to make sure that if you do adjust this on accident, you want to go ahead and retest that before you go back out to the field and play. Otherwise you could be shooting too slow or too fast. Okay, so in order to service this, you're going to want a little bit of grease. This is Dow 33 grease. That's what comes, I believe, on the gun factory. But before I do that, I'm going to show you just briefly how this goes together inside the gun so you have a better idea. So when you first started this video, when you first started watching, you saw me, I pulled up a pin. This is the pin. This is going to pop down. And this actually clicks inside of the hammer here, just like that. And then your spring goes in the back end there. And then your spring guide and your bumper, that's your bumper there, and then your spring guide here. And it sits right inside the gun, pretty much like this. Like this. So the bumper here keeps these pieces from metal and everything from hitting each other while also making sure that the spring stays where it's supposed to. The hammer is what hits a little pin valve inside of here that allows air to go up, out the bolt system, and out the front of the gun. So now that you've got that, that's how it's supposed to go together. So we're going to take a little bit of lube on our finger here and just want to grease just a little bit down the sides. Not a ton because it will end up going down your barrel. So I'm just going to wipe it, kind of a small thin coat, wipe off any extra. So just make sure where it's shiny. And this is going to help it slide down the breech and down the inside of the gun. And then this lube here is going to go on the hammer spring. So if this spring, or sorry, if this O-ring is damaged at all or has a ton of debris on it and paint, same for the bolt, if it's very sticky and not sliding right, what's going to happen is you're going to shoot the gun one time and this is just going to go forward. It's just going to sound just like that. It's going to shoot one time. You're going to have to recock it. If you own a paintball gun that does that, it's because most likely you either have low on air or the bolt and the hammer need to be lubed and cleaned. You have debris in there that's slowing it down so it's not able to function smoothly or correctly. So you want to make sure that that is clean. So this is your hammer O-ring. I believe this is a number 15 O-ring. So if it gets damaged or if you have an older type gun and this is very gummy and stretchy when you pull it off and you mess with it, go ahead and replace that. They're less than $1 and they can solve a lot of problems. So now that we've lubed the hammer, you're going to want to put it back in the gun. And the way you're going to have to do this is probably the most complicated part of putting everything back together. You want to take the hammer and this hole needs to be facing up, the big hole facing to the back, and I'm going to just slide it right here into the back of the gun. And it's going to stop, and that's correct. That's how it's supposed to happen. So again, the hole is up because you want the bolt to be able to click inside of the hammer. But I'm going to take my other hand and I'm going to press against the hammer while pulling the trigger. So pressing towards the front of the gun while pulling the trigger. It's going to go in a little bit, and I'm going to do it one more time. Take a smaller finger there and pull the trigger at the same time. And I'm not pushing extremely hard, but just enough force. Then what you're going to want to make sure is that the hammer hole, the hole that the bolt is going to click into, is facing up. So on this one it is right now, or you can use an Allen key to kind of adjust it and make sure it's there. So then I'm going to take the hammer, then I'm going to take the bolt and make sure the bolt pin goes into the hole of the hammer. So slide that in, and I'm going to take my finger and push down just a little bit, and I'm going to kind of slide it backwards until it finds that hole. And it's clicked in there, it's good to go. And the way to make sure you have this put together correctly is you want to lift up on the bolt pin, like slide it towards the back of the gun, like this. You want to make sure that both pieces move together, as you can see. So in order to get it to go forward again, you're going to have to pull the trigger each time. So I've got everything moving correctly. And you always want this in the forward position when you're working on the gun, otherwise everything will be more difficult to put in. So next you're going to want the bumper, and you're going to want to put the mainspring in there, just drop it in. Again, if this is cocked back, you see how it wants to stick that mainspring out. It makes it very difficult to put everything back together. So I'm going to push on the spring, push on the, actually we can push on the bolt, put everything back into place. Good to go. And then you're going to take your velocity adjuster and your back cap and spring guide and screw it all back together. Good to go. So to show you real quick, these are just two pieces. And if you do adjust this, you will have to readjust your velocity, but this just screws together like this. Show you real quick. There's a small O-ring on there. You don't need to lube that. It just goes together just like that. But again, if you do adjust this at all, like I've done now, we'll have to test the speed of the gun to make sure it's shooting under the safe conditions. So I'm going to push this in. It's under spring tension, and get it screw in, and you're good to go. So pretty straightforward. I do recommend to do this probably a week before you're going to go play, a few days. That way if you mess something up or you lose something, you have time to order a part in, or you can take it to your local shop. Anytime you buy a gun from Pro H Paintball, we do service and clean the gun for free as long as you're the original owner, for life, or as long as we're open. So if you were to buy your Chaos 3, if you're looking to buy one and you're local to Houston, even if you're not local and you want to mail us the gun, we will service the gun and check it out for free, no charge, as long as you're the original owner, as long as you buy the gun from our store. So make sure you shop prohpb.com, or you can check the description. We'll have a link to all the Azodin guns that we carry and all the other paintball guns that we carry in the description of this video. Other than that, I think I've pretty much covered everything. We will have a more in-depth basically breakdown of the gun if you really want to take apart the entire gun. But as far as just basic service and maintenance, that pretty much covers everything. If you guys have any questions, comment below. If there are any other videos you'd like to see, please take a second, comment below. And of course, don't forget to shop prohpb.com, like the video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching.